What if everything you are chasing was never outside you at all? What if the struggle to fix the world is the very thing keeping you lost? This quote does not attack your life. It quietly questions it. It asks why you keep polishing reflections, while ignoring the one mirror that truly matters. And then it delivers a shocking truth, not about effort, not about success, but about presence. Stay with this till the end, because once you truly hear it, you may never look outward the same way again. We begin with a simple but uncomfortable question. Why are you busy polishing the mirror of the world? This line does not accuse. It observes. Human beings spend most of their lives trying to adjust what is outside them. They try to fix appearances. They try to manage opinions. They try to improve how the world looks back at them. The mirror of the world represents everything external. People, status, money, recognition, approval. When you polish a mirror, you are not changing reality. You are only improving the reflection. Rumi's wisdom quietly points to this habit. We clean the surface. We decorate the image. We correct what others see. But we rarely question the one who is looking. This is not about laziness or failure. It is about misdirected energy. A person may work endlessly, achieve many goals, still feel empty, because polishing the world never guarantees peace inside. The quote invites a pause, a moment of honesty. How much time is spent fixing impressions? How much effort goes into being seen as enough? How often do we believe happiness will arrive after the next correction? This outward focus becomes automatic. We are taught early to perform, to adjust, to compete. Slowly, attention turns away from the inner self. The tragedy is subtle. Nothing looks wrong on the surface. Life appears busy and productive, but something feels unresolved. Rumi's first line is a mirror itself. It reflects our behavior back to us. Without judgment, without drama, it asks us to notice the direction of our attention. Are we polishing what is outside because we are afraid to face what is within? This question sets the foundation for everything that follows, because no inward journey can begin until the outward distraction is recognized. This is not a rejection of the world. It is a realignment of focus. The quote does not say the world is unimportant. It says it is secondary. And in that shift, a deeper truth begins to breathe. The quote now changes direction. Turn inward. These two words sound simple, but they describe the hardest movement a human being can make. Turning inward does not mean escaping the world. It means redirecting attention. Most people have never been taught how to look inside. They know how to observe others. They know how to analyze situations. They know how to react. But when it comes to sitting with their own thoughts, their own fears, their own unanswered questions, discomfort appears. The inward direction feels unfamiliar, and unfamiliar paths often feel unsafe. Rumi does not romanticize this process. He presents it plainly. Turning inward is not a mystical trick. It is an act of courage. Inside the human heart lives everything we avoid: unprocessed pain, old disappointments, hidden desires, silent guilt. That is why polishing the world feels easier. The world gives feedback. The inner self stays quiet. But silence does not mean emptiness. It means depth. When Rumi says turn inward, he is not asking for isolation. He is asking for awareness. To notice what drives your actions, to observe why certain words hurt, to recognize patterns that repeat in your life. Turning inward means asking uncomfortable questions. Why do I need approval? Why does silence scare me? Why do I feel restless even when things are fine? This inward turn removes distractions. It takes away excuses. You cannot blame the world when you are facing yourself. Many avoid this direction because it slows life down. There is no applause inside, no immediate reward. But this is where truth lives. The quote does not say judge yourself. It says turn inward. Observation, not punishment. Awareness, not control. When attention shifts inward, the noise of comparison fades. The urgency to prove disappears. You begin to see how much of your effort was driven by fear rather than purpose. This realization can feel heavy at first, but it is also freeing, because once you see clearly, you're no longer chasing shadows. Rumi's wisdom suggests that transformation does not begin with action. It begins with attention. Not what you do, but where you look. This inward turn is the doorway. Nothing meaningful can follow without it. And once you stand at that doorway, the quote leads you to its most powerful truth. The quote now reveals a condition. When the heart is clear, this line quietly explains why the inward journey matters. A clear heart is not a perfect heart. It is not free from mistakes. It is free from distortion. Clarity does not mean the absence of emotion. It means the absence of confusion about who you are. Most suffering does not come from pain itself. It comes from resistance, from denial, from misunderstanding our own inner world. A clouded heart reacts without awareness. It carries old wounds into new moments. It sees through fear instead of truth. When Rumi speaks of clarity, he is pointing toward honesty with oneself, to see anger without justifying it, to feel sadness without hiding it, to acknowledge desire without being controlled by it. This clarity develops slowly. It is built through attention, through stillness, through listening instead of running. As the heart becomes clear, patterns begin to loosen. You notice how often expectations shape your happiness. You see how attachment creates anxiety. You recognize how ego disguises itself as self-protection. This awareness is not loud. It is quiet and steady. A clear heart does not rush to react. It pauses. It understands before responding. The quote suggests that clarity is not achieved by effort alone. It arrives when inner resistance softens. When you stop fighting your own feelings, they lose their power over you. This is why turning inward matters. Without it, clarity cannot form. The world cannot give you a clear heart. Success cannot produce it. Praise cannot stabilize it. Only presence can. When the heart clears, life feels lighter without becoming careless. You still experience challenges, but they no longer define you. The mind stops arguing with reality. The heart stops demanding control. This clarity creates space. And in that space, something unexpected appears. The quote is guiding us carefully, step by step. First, notice the distraction. Then, turn inward. Now, allow the heart to clear. What comes next is the truth most people never expect. The quote now delivers its quiet revelation. The beloved is already standing there. This line changes everything. It does not promise arrival. It does not speak of distance. It does not suggest effort. It states presence. In Rumi's language, the beloved represents ultimate truth. It can be understood as God, as divine love, as deep inner peace, as the truest self. The interpretation may differ. The message does not. What we seek is not missing. Most people live as if fulfillment is far away. They believe it exists in a future moment, after success, after healing, after approval. This belief creates endless movement, endless striving. But the quote gently dismantles this idea. The beloved does not arrive when conditions are perfect. It is not unlocked by achievement. It is already present, waiting behind distraction. When the heart is clouded, this presence feels hidden, not because it leaves, but because we stop noticing. Rumi suggests that seeking is not wrong, but seeking outward keeps us chasing reflections. The inward path reveals something shocking. Nothing new needs to be added. When clarity returns, what was always there becomes visible. This realization humbles the ego. It removes ownership from spiritual growth. You did not create the beloved. You uncovered it. The quote does not say, the beloved will come. It says, is already standing there. This means the journey is not about reaching. It is about remembering. This presence does not demand rituals. It does not require language. It responds to sincerity. The moment the heart clears, separation dissolves. There is no dramatic event, no announcement, just recognition. This truth shifts how life is lived. You stop chasing meaning. You start living from it. The beloved was never distant, only overlooked. And with this understanding, The final chapter reveals what this awareness does to daily life. Once this truth is understood, life begins to shift quietly, not dramatically, not overnight, but deeply. When you realize the beloved is already present, your relationship with effort changes. You still work, you still plan, you still move forward, but you no longer move from lack. Most exhaustion comes from chasing what we believe is missing: approval, worth, completion. When presence is recognized, that hunger softens. You stop asking the world to confirm your value. You stop demanding outcomes to justify your existence. This does not make you passive. It makes you grounded. Actions now rise from clarity, not desperation. You speak with less urgency. You listen with more patience. You respond instead of reacting. This presence influences small moments: how you handle silence, how you face delay, how you sit with uncertainty. Previously, discomfort felt like a problem to solve. Now, it becomes something to understand. The quote's wisdom shows its power here. Nothing external had to change first. The change happened at the center. When the heart is clear, conflict loses its grip. You no longer see every challenge as a threat. You see it as information. Even pain becomes honest, not dramatic, not defining. This clarity brings responsibility. You can no longer blame the world for inner chaos, but it also brings freedom. You're no longer dependent on circumstances for peace. The beloved's presence becomes a reference point, a quiet anchor. In moments of success, it keeps you humble. In moments of loss, it keeps you steady. Life does not become perfect, but it becomes sincere. You begin to notice how much time was spent seeking what was already near. This realization does not create regret. It creates compassion for yourself, for others still polishing mirrors, because now you know the search was never wrong. It was simply pointed in the wrong direction. And with that awareness, the final chapter completes the circle. The quote ends where it began, not with instruction, but with understanding. Why are you busy polishing the mirror of the world? After everything explored, this question now feels different. It no longer sounds critical. It sounds compassionate. Rumi's wisdom does not reject the world. It gently removes a burden we placed upon it. The world was never meant to complete us. It was never meant to carry our inner weight. That responsibility belongs to awareness. When the heart clears, life does not lose meaning. It gains honesty. You still engage with the world, but you are no longer trapped by its reflections. Praise does not inflate you. Criticism does not collapse you, because your center is no longer external. This is a quiet return Rumi points toward, a return to presence, a return to inner stability. The beloved was not found. It was recognized, and recognition changes everything. You stop rushing toward the future. You stop escaping the present. Moments become complete without needing explanation. Even uncertainty becomes less frightening, because clarity is no longer tied to control. The quote does not promise a perfect life. It offers a truthful one, a life where attention is placed correctly, where effort is guided by awareness, where peace is not postponed. This wisdom is simple, but not easy. It asks for honesty, for patience, for stillness, but it gives something rare in return: freedom from endless searching. The mirror no longer needs polishing, because the one who looks has changed. And when that change happens, the world reflects something new, not perfection, but presence, not answers, but peace. This is the gift hidden in the quote: quiet, direct, complete. And once it is truly understood, there is nowhere else to go, only here.